All right, so American literature, you guys, like I said, we have a smattering of different time periods. We start off in 1492, and we sail all the way up through, what's it, like 2014, I think? You know, so we cover a lot of ground in this class. Like, that's a lot of years. Like we established before, I can't do maths, but I think it's like 500 or something. So we've got that. Now, let me take attendance real quick so that I can be sure who is here. All right, Natalie. All right, hi. Andrew. All right. Miguel. Oh, hey. Michael. Here. All right. Samuel Logan. Okay. Templar. No. Thomas.
Or wait, is that last name or first name?
You know what? I might have transposed because do you have two first names?
No.
No? You're not?
Nicholas, last name Thomas.
Okay, yes, okay, yes. I transposed. I apologize. Last name is Thomas. They put it really weird on Blackboard this time, and so I was like, I kept finding myself like having to flip things around, and then I got really confused, so I apologize. Okay. And Jemiah. Okay. All right. And I've got you marked as here for attendance too as well, okay? I saw your name, so I knew to mark you. Okay, so I'm not talking to myself. There's somebody viewing online. All right, so we have American Lit, like we said. Has anyone had the opportunity to go online and check out Blackboard yet? Okay, a couple of you? Cool, cool, cool. If you haven't, that's okay. We're going to do it today. We're going to talk about a few things. We're going to talk about the syllabus, you know, all those fun, fancy first day things. And we can find the syllabus in the Start Here section, as I'm sure you have grown to be used to. Here we go, syllabus, all these extra things, instructor policies. This is the big guy. Okay. So my name is Kristen Gosinski. You can tell because it's at the top of this document. You don't need to use my last name, just my first name works fine. I'm not fancy, so just call me Kristen. The only time you need my last name is for an assignment, you know, to put it under your name for MLA formatting. My phone number, I have a Google Voice account that you can use to call or text me with any questions that you might have. The only time that I don't answer is if I'm sleeping or if I'm teaching. So, you know, definitely let me know. I do sleep a lot, to be fair, but I will answer whenever I can. And if you can't get in touch with me, leave me a voicemail. I will get back to you. Okay. Office location. I have an office on campus. I'm in room 527C, but I'm only there on Wednesday mornings right after this class. I did out of here. I'm still a little paranoid about COVID. I still wear this thing like Linus wear, like holds his safety blanket, you know. So I try not to be around people too much. The paranoia is still very real. So I'm on campus on Wednesdays, and then I will be virtual for the other days until they make me come back full time on July 6th. Okay, so you can find me at the Blackboard Collaborate Ultra office hours session. And if you, breathing is so hard these days. All right, so if you come down here, you can see this is how you would log into our class session. Right underneath it is where we have office hours. I know on the syllabus it says 11 to noon, but I decided to extend that for you guys, so it's going to be 10 o'clock to noon on Mondays and Tuesdays. But if you say, wow, those times, they really are not good for me, that's okay. Let me know. You can use this schedule a meeting time. What you do is you just click on that. You wait 10 minutes. Whew. GTC internet is struggling today. There we go. So you guys are English 2130, so you would just click on this. If you put yourself in the wrong category, it's no big deal. It's just so that I can kind of see like, oh, okay, let me get in the frame of mind for that particular class. And then you can choose on like Wednesdays, I'm clicking, nothing's there. I don't have any times available because I know after class, I'm going to be home and I'm going to be like, ooh, so tired. Because, man, this takes a lot out of you being up here. So we've got on Thursday, that's our next available set of times. And you can see that they are all the way throughout the day. Okay. So schedule an appointment whenever you need. Friday's a little short day, so I get off work at 11:30 in the morning. So yes. And but if you ever need a time that's not scheduled here, right? Say you want to meet on a Monday and you can't meet between 1 and 6:30, that's okay. Send me an email and be like, hey, are you available at noon? I'll be like, yeah, sure, let's do it. You know, so just tell me what you need and I'll be happy to figure out how we can make our schedules work. Okay, I've been known to take meetings at 10 p.m. just because that's when people are available. So just let me know what you need and we can make it happen. To actually schedule, it's super easy. You just click on the time that works for you. Type your name, type your cell phone number too, and you're going to check email because it'll send you notifications to your phone and your email address with the really cool join video link, and then boom, we've got this. All right. Now, as far as this course goes, I think I have a dryer sheet in my pants leg. That is weird, you guys. I'm like walking, I'm like, something feels weird. I'm so sorry. As you can see, I'm a bit of a hot mess, kind of all the time. But don't worry, I know my literature. So here we go. Let's get started talking about how this course breaks down. We've got our discussions and discussion portfolio. That's worth 25% of your grade. And then we have the part 1 of our research paper project. There are 3 parts to that research paper project. This runs in the background, and it's the entire process from inception of an idea to writing the paper and getting those ideas submitted. Okay, so it goes through everything. So the first part is the annotated bibliography, right? This is a research paper, so we need source material. We need ideas from other people, not just our own minds. So we choose a novel in this class, and unfortunately that assignment comes up pretty quick because we only have 7 weeks together. So I will talk about that in just a minute. I have a list of novels that you can choose from, but if you find something else that's awesome, then we can definitely talk about it and see if it'll work. Now, it won't work with nonfiction, it'll only work with fiction. So, you know, make sure that that's your frame of mind. Well, that's not necessarily true. It works with nonfiction too, but it won't work with like self-help books or like business books, things like that. I didn't mean to just like single you out. We were talking about business before. So, you know, that's the kind of framework, and we'll go over those types of novels that are available to us. After we have the annotated bibliography, we have a literature review. Who here's heard of a literature review before? Yeah, I figured. Okay. So a literature review is essentially just, let me make sure that the chat's up so I can hear and see it. A literature review is essentially where you talk about what other people are saying about this novel that you chose, right? So you read these other sources and you see what's happening. You'll notice that there are ideas that kind of spring up again and again and again. Those are connections that different authors are making with one another. Now, you'll also see that there will be disagreement among your sources, right? And then you'll point those out as well. That's what the literature review is about. It's about identifying connections between the source material you're using. Okay, I ran out of breath really bad there. Sounded like I was crying for a second. All right, and then we have our research paper itself. Now, this is the big boy, right? This is the one where your ideas are in charge. Your primary source, right, your novel, is what's guiding you, right? What's helping you direct your ideas. And then your secondary sources are now just in the background, helping you make the points that you need to make. All right, that's the thing. And we'll talk about this more later on because so many students struggle after writing the literature review where your secondary sources are all up in everything, right? they then struggle to kind of pull those secondary sources back and not let them take over, okay? So we're gonna make sure that we focus on doing exactly that, putting the primary source first, your ideas first, that sort of thing. Hey, how's it going? What's your name?
Samuel.
Samuel, all right. We get you signed in here. Okay. All right, now in terms of other things, the assessment tools is basically just talking about what we just talked about, just kind of the breakdown, right? The research paper overall is worth 75% of your grade. The discussions and discussion board portfolio is worth 25% of your grade. So that is what assessment tools is really talking about. In terms of the internet connection policy, I know that we are not a fully online class, but all of our assignments are submitted online. I still don't want your German papers. So what we need to do is submit through Blackboard, right? And in order to do that, we know we're going to be struggling with Blackboard being kind of a pain in the neck sometimes. How many of you have been able to sign into Blackboard since we did that switch over to the two-factor authentication with the Okta? That work for you? Work for you guys? Anybody struggling with that? No? Okay, good, good. I have so many random text messages from Okta telling me how to log into my Blackboard that I'm just like, enough verification codes, please. Bent over. Okay. So if something happens and you have an issue with Blackboard, it doesn't let you in, it decides it won't let you look at an assignment, email that assignment to me. Now, don't email me asking if you can email me the assignment. That's too many steps. Too many steps. If it's like 11 o'clock, I might be asleep, right? Then you're not going to get your answer, and then I won't get my assignment. So just email it, okay? I will be happy to accept it over email as long as it's in my email. All right, now this is, would you please stop? Is this because I kicked the cord? It was an accident. All right. These classrooms are just not made for people with nervous energy. Ugh. All right. If your internet goes down at any point throughout the term, right, you're trying to submit something and you're freaking out, well, these days we have a lot more flexibility, right? We can like airdrop something to our phone and submit that way. If you run into a situation where that doesn't even work, your internet's out, you don't know what to do, you take a minute and cough because your throat's very dry. And you could just get in the car, drive to a parking lot, a McDonald's parking lot, a Panera parking lot, use their Wi-Fi if you can't access internet any other way. Okay, I've done to pat myself on the back for being like super smart about how to get free Wi-Fi, but it's just about making sure things are done at the time they need to be, okay? So make sure that you know your options if your internet happens to go out or something like that. Now, I know that we have in the syllabus a very strict sounding late policy. I will not accept late work. Well, you know what? This is 2021. We just lived through a pandemic. Life is a little crazy right now with other things going on too. If something crazy happens in your life and you're not able to submit an assignment, let me know what's going on before that assignment is due, and we'll work something out, okay? We will work something out. Now, the no-show policy, we don't need to talk about that. The last thing. How many of you know what plagiarism is? Good, good. So plagiarism, just as a refresher, is using someone else's ideas or language without crediting them for that information, okay? So you really want to make sure that anytime you use an idea from a source, anytime you find like one quick thing on Wikipedia, you cite it, okay, in an essay. Obviously, you don't have to cite it if you're having a conversation. That would be weird. But I mean, we kind of do that anyway, right? Like, oh, I was talking to my friend Joe and he said X, Y, and Z thing, right? That's essentially a citation, right? So we do this. We just don't think about it like that. But Make sure you don't plagiarize. I actually had a student 2 semesters ago who plagiarized the sample documents that I wrote and submitted them as her own with just like changing out a few words for every sentence. And I'm like, that was so much more work than actually just writing the thing. So we had a really tense conversation. She still didn't get it by the end. I don't know. But make sure you don't do that. Don't buy papers online, that sort of thing. I have a 0 tolerance plagiarism policy. So, keep an eye out for that. Where did my Blackboard go? Did it go in another? There we go. Technology is one of those things that's really great, and you're really good at it until you get in front of a room of people, and then it just doesn't work, and then you look really stupid. So, okay. So we've got this announcements tab under the Start Here tab. All right, there's some other things in Start Here. This Writing the Nation textbook, we're not really going to use that. In fact, I've got it hidden from you, so let me show you exactly what you can see. So we've got the syllabus, we have the MLA handbook here. How many of you worked with the MLA handbook embedded in Blackboard in a previous semester? No? Okay, so let me talk about that for just a minute. So here we go. This is what it looks like. So the reason that I even bring this up, right, is because, well, one, it's important to know MLA formatting. Partially because you need to maintain the expectations that your readers have for you, and partially because it's good to be consistent. Okay, those are 2 very important things when it comes to writing essays and analyzing things, making sure you're consistent in your analysis and in your writing. So this kind of talks about how to do those things. Now, the other reason that this is really important is because some of you may know, but some of you may not, that MLA updated on April 22nd, right? They just sort of went, poof, now we have new MLA. So awesome. How great is that? Now we have to learn new things. It really doesn't change a whole lot. The big thing that it does change is the placement of parenthetical citations. So there is a section that talks about that down here. It's 4.1.e. That will probably be the big guy that you'll want to take a look at. Everything else is fairly consistent. They made a lot of little changes, but they're not necessarily changes that will impact us. Okay. So when you go to use this, it'll remind you of a lot of important things. Okay. Why it's important to use MLA formatting, how to avoid plagiarism, what is plagiarism. So it gives you the basics. And then it also reminds you how to use quotations, how to use paraphrases, how to cite things, okay? And if you've forgotten, even if it's literally been 2 weeks since you took English 1102, if you've forgotten how to format an essay in MLA, well, all that information is right here. So you just click on it, and boom, we're there. Talk about general paper formatting, font and spacing, margins. If you ever get those pesky extra spaces between things, it tells you how to get rid of those too with screenshots. So this really does help you do a lot. And you know what? Once you take a look at a section, you're done with it, boom, you can click that return to table of contents, boom, you're right back up to the top. Okay? So this really goes through a lot of different things. It also talks about the formatting of parenthetical citations and works cited citations. So things like books and ebooks, which we'll be using. Things like scholarly journal articles, which again, we'll be using. So, you really want to make sure that you have access to this, because now with the update to MLA 9, those citation generators like EasyBib and stuff like that, that finally just got their footing for MLA 8, they're back to square one now with MLA 9, okay? So don't use those. Understand how to format the citations yourself. Okay. All right, so we have this literary periods here. This is going to be helpful It doesn't really start until, you know, the late 1800s or so, but this is kind of a good thing to know. We're not going to talk about this explicitly, but if you want to think about it in the background, cool. Okay, and that is our start here section. The announcements obviously are the announcements that I send out to you. Whenever I send an announcement, I post it and then also email it to you, so that way you have the best chance of getting it. I'll usually send out about one to two a week, depending. Some weeks might be a little bit heavier because of something we're doing, but you know, that's probably 1 to 2 is a good estimate. Now, our calendar is updated for Unit 1. The others will be added as we get a little bit closer. I don't want us getting ahead of ourselves because of how this is progressing. Like, it needs to go in a certain order. I don't want you to be thinking too far ahead, okay? So we've got that. We have the MLA handbook down here again, and then we have our lessons folder. So you can see Unit 1, annotated bibliography, that's our first part. And then we have structural elements and literary terms. You can use that. We won't be explicitly using it again. We will just, you know, talk about the elements in it as they come up. All right, I'm going to pause here and ask you guys if you have any questions, because I know we covered a lot very quickly. So what questions do you have? Mm-hmm.
Because this is a hybrid class, will we be utilizing the discussion board posts where typically you have an original form to yourself and then you respond to other students?
Mm-hmm.
Are we utilizing that weekly?
Yes. Yes, we are. So let's take a look here. All right, so this is our first week. To talk to your point about the, where did the other weeks go? What the heck? All right. I was tweaking some language. That's what it is. Okay. I'm like, wait a minute, because I know I set up the whole course. I hit it. Sorry. I'll get that all fixed. I was tweaking just a few things here and there just to make sure it was as clear as possible. And I guess I never re-enabled it, so I apologize. Now, for this first week, right, we're here, we're doing introductions, we're talking about the syllabus and course policies, right? So we're doing the things that we have decided that we would do. Now, our primary source selection is the first thing that we are going to be accomplishing. And the primary source is going to be the novel that you choose for this overarching research project. Now, of course, as you're going through, as you're starting to read your novel, if you start thinking, wow, I really hate Mark Twain. I don't know why I picked to read Mark Twain for this topic, or for this assignment. Let me know, and we can swap your source, okay? You're not stuck with it just because you chose it, but you know, it's just to get your initial idea out there, and then if you make any changes after that, you just let me know. Let me exit the preview so I can show you what else is going on here. It's so weird. I never hide things, so it's weird that I did. Okay, so this is week 2. This is when we start getting into the heart of things. Okay, we have 4 readings to do. The readings each week will probably be somewhere around 70 pages, like printed pages of reading. Okay, so just want to put that out there right away. If that's too much for you, I get it. But that's kind of what it ends up being, because we're trying to distill an entire 15-week course down into 7. And I actually did take out a lot of reading material. So I just, you know, if that feels like it's too overwhelming, I get it. Now, that's not saying I want you to go. I do not. I would love to work with each and every one of you. I don't want you to misunderstand that. All right, so for weekly assignments, you'll see it's always separated by readings for class discussion and weekly assignments. And the weekly assignments for week 2, they're going to be finish reading your novel. Right, once you've chosen your primary source, you have to finish it up. Usually I offer that to be like a 2-week period, but since we're crunched, we get 1. Okay, so finish reading your novel, You don't need to tell me you've submitted it. I thought maybe, maybe this term I'll have you guys just like check a box or something and get some like extra points. Do you want that? Yeah, okay. Okay, so I'll put that out there. So on the second, I'm going to take off this no assignment submission and just kind of like, have I completed my reading assignment? Yes, you know. All right, so we've also got a research proposal. Now, the research proposal is kind of like if you thought about your novel in a vacuum, right? What do I think about it? What do I feel about it? What could I potentially want to argue about this novel? Now, I keep talking about novels, but I haven't yet shown you the ones that are authored to you here, okay? So we've got a few. Now, why did that change the formatting? Okay, so I've got the properly formatted citations under them as well, but the Ethan Frome one decided to unitalicize this. I'll fix that. So you can see we've got a few here. We've got Ethan Frome, we've got Age of Innocence, The Scarlet Letter, Uncle Tom's Cabin, The Awakening, The Souls of Black Folk, Connecticut Yankee, and King Arthur's Court. I'm just going to stop reading them out loud and just kind of scroll slowly so you can see. I will say only read Moby Dick if you want to read 500 pages of like really explicit descriptions of sailing, like straight up. But I did have a student who loved it, so, you know, to each their own. So these are the types of things that you can choose. Now, of course, this is not an exhaustive list. These were the ones that I could link to you for free without having to provide any sort of like payment for copyright or anything like that. But there are tons of others. If you're a sci-fi person, you know, Ray Bradbury is an American novelist. There are tons of other like long form essays that you could choose from if you wanted to do something like that. So there's a bunch out there. So go with your interests, go with someone who speaks to you. And as long as you have access to their novel or even a play, if you wanted to do a play, I'm cool with that as long as you've got that access, okay? So just reach out to me if you choose to do something not on your list. And yeah. So let's pop back over to lessons here. Okay. So you'll notice here that there's two things of discussion board, right? One for the initial post, one for the response post. I used to always write it as one, and then I found that people forgot to do the response posts like all the time. So I decided to split it up this term. You guys are going to be my guinea pigs. So the initial post, as soon as that's all squared away, you'll be able to see it. And then the response post shows up and it's linked to exactly the same place, right? So it just makes it so that you can access it from two different areas. So if you wanted to do your response post from the initial post link, you absolutely can. It's just to keep it consistent with splitting it in the weekly assignments, little blurb. Okay. So you can see here that there are samples for most of the assignments, unless they are very, very self-explanatory, or something like the discussion board where I don't want you to like take my idea and, you know, repurpose it. There'll be samples that you can access and just kind of see, okay, this is what it's supposed to look like, right? Because I'm not about surprises. I'm about telling you what I need and you doing it for me. And then, you know, we'll talk about it if you're struggling, right? That's the big thing. It's about learning to kind of fit what is expected, because out in the world of careers and jobs and things, unfortunately, we still live in a society where a boss tells you to jump and you have to say how high, even though that's a real big load of garbage. So I try to be a little bit more flexible than that. But you just tell me what you need in order to succeed. Okay, that's my big thing. That was the session here. Okay. Have to re-log in. All right. So some weeks are going to be a little bit more relaxed than others in terms of assignments and things like that. But some weeks will be a little bit more intensive. I tried my best to spread things out to make it a little bit easier. I don't really like to double up on things. You may have a double up on a discussion board post and an assignment, but this is something that they laughed at me last class when I reminded them, like, you don't have to submit an assignment the day that it's due. Like, you could submit it a day early or 2 days early, as long as it's not like 2 months early when we haven't covered the material yet, right? So, like, they were like, of course you can. You're so stupid. Why would you say that? And I'm like, because I was the student who was like, oh, I guess I'll start the assignment at 11 o'clock on the night that it's due. Like, that was me. So I don't know. I don't know how other people's brains work. But definitely with a course like this, there's just a little bit more built-in space at the beginning of the week, which you obviously could use for readings, or if you wanted to get ahead on later assignments, whatever works best for you. I just wanted to put that reminder out there because I would have appreciated that reminder when I was in your shoes. All right, so I think that kind of covers the lessons part. You can also go into this major assignment requirements and rubrics, and that's where you see the primary source novels for your research project. And then we've also got, we have annotated bibliography requirements, rubric and sample. You'll also have one for literature review and one for research paper. Okay. So we've got the assignment requirements document for the annotated bib. I don't want to talk about it today and get too far ahead of ourselves, because we still need to pick our novel and kind of see. But essentially, actually, how many of you have ever written an annotated bibliography? Okay, you have. Okay, so a couple of you. Basically, what it is you read related sources and you write up a little summary and you write, oh, maybe I will be able to use them in X way, right? Something to kind of show how you could progress into something different. Not different, but like something more developed, right? How they interact, that sort of thing. So basically, for our research project as a whole, we're reading our novel. We're also finding 6 secondary sources to help develop, because our research paper will ultimately be a 6 or more page paper about our novel using secondary sources to help back up your own ideas. Okay, so I know that sounds scary right now, but when you think that we have the entirety of the term to build up your expertise on your novel, to understand what your sources are saying about it, and then to bring in your own ideas and really push that farther, we've got this. We've got this. All right. So you'll be able to see the rubric, the sample. I'm a big fan of samples, as you can tell. I don't like the idea of, making you figure it out on your own. That just feels stupid to me. So you do not yet have the full annotated bibliography sample because I'm updating the citation formatting. But as soon as that's done, that'll be right there. And then you will have access to that. All right, since I need to breathe, or I will pass out, I'm gonna give you guys an opportunity to ask questions. Any questions, comments, concerns? No? We're feeling good? Okay. Yeah.
You may have already mentioned this, but is the calendar in Blackboard accurate of
Yes.
the assignments due to us? Okay.
Yes, it is. So if we were to go over to it right now, give me a second to unclick my other courses in case they decided to pop up. Okay, we're good. So you should be able to see we've got our primary source selection, got a discussion board, and then we've got the research proposal. I tried to keep the days consistent so that it was pretty straightforward. And if you notice the, oh, this is all, sorry, I was thinking something else. So if you notice the research proposal is there, works cited page, right? So it's basically helping you build to the next thing. Everything is helping you build to the next. So you have your proposal where you get your ideas down. And then you have your works cited page where you found your sources. And it does two things, right? It makes sure that you can find sources on your topic. And then it also makes sure that your citations are formatted properly. Okay? Because once you format them properly in one document, it'll just move it into the next one and into the next one and into the next one. Like, no sense doing work every time. So you get that all set in the works cited page. And then after that, you've got one source annotation, right, to just test out the waters. Make sure you understand how to write an annotation for the annotated bibliography. Also, how long it takes. Because the annotated bibliography is honestly one of those assignments that you look at it and you say, oh, I could bang that out in like 2 hours, that's fine. And then like 10 hours later, you're like, it's due in 5 minutes. You know, that's that kind of assignment. So, you know, I want you guys to kind of be aware of that before it's due. So we've got, what day is the annotated bibliography actually due? Okay. So we've got the annotated bibliography due on the 14th. Now, the reason that it's due so late, right, because that's already like 2.5 weeks into term, like we've only got 7 weeks and we still have papers and what? The reason for that is because this is the basis, this is the foundation for the entire research project. All right, so you really want to make sure, or I want you to make sure that you have all of your ideas that you will work with, all of your thoughts down on paper before you need to start writing about them. So that's kind of the thing there. Sorry guys, I really am struggling to breathe like nobody's business today.
That's what happened to me last year. Like, I said, right after this, I then might need like nostril surgery.
Wow.
For breathing.
Now that I'm vaccinated, I shouldn't be using these like super fine, like, there's like no air circulation. It's just basically like I've got my face in a plastic bag and I'm just like, ah. So I apologize. So after that, right, starting on the 16th, we've now started into the next phase, right? We've now moved into the literature review. After that, you have the outline, right? And so we've got the outline, then we have a peer review of the outline, and then the final paper. Okay, again, each of these things builds into the next because we have the ideas that we are starting to see tied together. And then we have, the next thing was the outline, right? Yeah, and then we have an outline of how those ideas combine together, right? How they're working together. And then we finally do a peer review to help one another out, right? And then it's our essay that's talking about our sources. Same thing again for the research paper. Okay. Let me just remember exactly where that is. It's easier to look at the calendar. I know that your research paper is due on the 10th, which is literally the last day of our class session. So we've got the research paper due on the 10th, and we also have our discussion board portfolio due on the 10th as well. They both go in at the same time, so you can budget your time for each assignment however you want, okay? So just know that both of them are going in at the same time, okay? And so, okay, what is this discussion board portfolio? What's happening here? So the discussion board portfolio is essentially where you take your discussion board posts, right? And these discussion board posts are asking you to think about things like conflicts that appear in our sources and how they're representative of conflicts that, hey, we're still having today. Because do people learn? Not really. We don't learn, we just pretend we do. Not you guys, I'm sure you will learn very many things in this class. I mean, as humanity as a whole, right? We don't grow. We don't. But that's my own jaded opinion. And so, we have, these ideas and concepts that we're working with. We're using evidence from the sources that we're reading to help develop them. And then we are, helping one another push their arguments, right? So you're going to make an initial post. And this term, you guys are lucky, because you get to make your posts without seeing what anyone else has posted. And you might say, why would you do that? Now I have to really think about it. I can't get any ideas from other people. This is better. This is so much better. Because as soon as you read an idea from someone else, that idea sticks in your brain and then you can't get rid of it and then you end up writing the same thing. So now we've got, I almost tipped a little bit there. And then we've got, really original discussion board ideas. And then, of course, you also have your response posts. What are you meant to do there? Well, you're meant to advance the argument further. You're meant to push against something your peer has said and say, where's this supported in the evidence? I see it like this because of this and this and this, right? So it's really all about advancing a point that you're trying to make through literary analysis. Okay, and it's about pushing one another to really develop your ideas. Okay. So during our class session today, I really just wanted to go over these basics before we really dive in. Because I feel like with a 7-week term, there is nothing worse than starting off and immediately wanting to smack your head against the wall because you're just like, why? Why did this all happen right now? So we're starting off a little bit chill. We've got our primary source selection, right? You choose your novel, you choose whatever work of literature you're working with. That's tomorrow, so take a look through. You'll notice on that list, not only do you have a full text version of whatever document it is, I'm really tired of not being able to see you. Not only do you have a full text version of whatever the source is, but you also have a link to a summary, okay? Most of them are through Shmoop. Some of them are through another service because I couldn't get them through Shmoop. So Shmoop is fun. If you've never used it before, they make things funny. So that's kind of cool. But take a look at the summaries, see what resonates with you. If you want to work with something not on that list, please, by all means, send me an email and be like, hey, I'm thinking this source. What do you think? And then I'll make sure that you can find all the source material that you need to be able to succeed, okay? All right, so questions, comments, concerns? Yeah. Okay, so you can see the first two, okay. Yeah. Those things, and you'll have access to, whoops, sorry, microphone. You'll have access to all of this. I had to make some of the PDFs accessible, so that's why I had to hide it to be able to make that switch, and then I forgot. Anything else? All right, you guys, so starting next week, get excited to talk about colonizers, Native Americans, and then we will just sail right through the rest of this course, the 500-year span. We're going to do it in 7 weeks. We got it. We got it. All right, you guys, have a great rest of your day. If you need anything, let me know. Send me an email, a text, a call, schedule a meeting, come to office hours, all those things. All right? Bye, guys. Have a great one. And if you need anything, let me know.